How's it going, guys? Ben from JK Gear and Gadgets, and this video, not really doing anything fun. I got a lot to talk about with the Jeep and some stuff that's coming up. But I'll go ahead and say it right off the bat. My last few videos I was talking about doing an awesome competition, you know, getting the Jeep ready for it and everything. And that competition is 36 Hours of Uwharrie. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it's in North Carolina. It's an off-road slash like military theme off-road challenge, you know, over the course of 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a lot of different challenges from off-roading, you know, recovery stuff, winching, high lift. I'm gonna have to throw a canoe on the top, but there's gonna be a lot of prep for this. I'm actually going and representing Rugged Radios, so I'm gonna put a Rugged Radios wrap. They paid for my entry, and it's a pretty cool event that I'm glad I'm going to be able to do. But here's where the problem is. The Jeep's transmission is starting to act up. So what's happening is the clutch doesn't seem like it's fully disengaging. You know, you push the clutch pedal down and it really doesn't want to get into gear. But if you hold it down long enough, it'll slide on in. So right off the bat, I was like, okay, it's probably this slave cylinder. You know, something hydraulic related that's not really letting the clutch disengage. So, long story short, I've put in through 2 separate slave cylinders, brand new. Neither of them worked. I've tried bleeding it every which way, still doesn't work. So, a couple days ago, dropped the transmission thinking, okay, it might be something clutch related. Might be the throw bearing, might be the pressure plate, you know, clutch disc, blah, blah, blah. Dropped the tranny, took everything out, everything looked perfect. While I was in there, pilot bearing was good. I went ahead and changed out the throw-out bearing as well. Put it back in, still nothing. Put in another slave cylinder, still nothing. So this time around, I'm dropping the tranny. I've talked to Center Force because that's your clutch I'm running, and it's less than a year old. It's out of the 90-day window for their return policy. But the guy called on the phone. It's like, you know, since it's still not that old, they can have some wiggle room with, you know, warranty replacement. But the sad thing is it looked fine. So I'm going to drop the transmission again, 3rd time in a year. So I'm going to drop it, I'm going to take the pressure plate out, I'm going to take it to a shop, and I'm going to make sure that it fully disengages. I'm going to put it in a press and, you know, take some measurements and send it to Center Force and see what they think. Bad thing about that is when I did talk to Center Force, they said, oh, we'd like you to send it in, they're going to test it, and if it is faulty, they'll ship it back. Well, 36 Hours of Uwharrie, that event is August 10th. And it is currently July 21st. So the turnaround for them isn't going to make it. So I'm going to take it out, see what's up, and I might just go buy an AutoZone clutch, throw it in, and hopefully that fixes my issue. So I'm really pressed on trying to get this fixed before the event. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that. But what else is coming up? Throwing in a Barnes aluminum tie rod. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's right around 100, I think $199, $200. And it's an aluminum tie rod. My Rough Stuff steel tie rod that I've been running for a while, it just keeps bending. It's heavy duty, but every time I hit a rock, it bends, and I have to sit there and bend it back. So with this aluminum tie rod, it's a solid 1.5 inch diameter aluminum tie rod, and you know what, it's flexible. If it bends right back to the original, you know, perfectly straight. So that's gonna be pretty cool. I'm gonna get that installed here in a few days. I'm gonna make a video on that. I wanted to get my Rock Crawler 3-link front long arms welded in, but looks like that isn't going to happen before the event, so I'll be doing that on my Rubicon Express control arms that are all beat to crap, but that's no big deal. They'll hold up for the event. But, you know, I had all these things planned. I still need to find a canoe for the event. I think I found one. I got to get a bunch of more, you know, specific recovery gear that 36 Hours of Uwharrie requires, you know, like a winch line extension, shackles, all that stuff. 60-inch high lift jack. I have a 48. So I mean, it's just, I have a lot to plan for this event, and this whole transmission thing's really pushing me behind. So here's what I thought was the original problem: the slave cylinder. What this does is this is like the hydraulic plunger that actually pushes your clutch fork and engages the pressure plate. So like I said, this is the second one. I've bled it. A lot of times people have trouble bleeding it on the vehicle because the bleeder actually sits lower than, you know, the body, so any air bubble would get up in here. So popped it off. I've bled it here plenty of times, and clearly that's not the issue. Like I said, I've already dropped the transmission a couple times. Well, dropped it once, and everything looked good. So luckily for me, I still have the exhaust taken off, and the front drive shaft removed still. So I mean, for me to drop this again, it's really not a big deal. I wanted to make a video of how to drop these transmissions and change out the clutch, and I would normally, but the fact that I'm in such a time crunch, I'd rather just drop this in like 2 hours and get it done, opposed to trying to make a video, because making a video of dropping this transmission, you know, nut by nut, bolt by bolt, is going to take me like 6 or 7 hours to make a good video on it. So I apologize for not making a video. If I wasn't in a time crunch, I would make a video on how to drop this. But looks like I'm going to drop this bad boy again, and hopefully I can find the issue. I do have to switch back to my 37s because the maximum tire size for this 36 hours of Uwharrie is 37. So I'm running my 40s now. I'm going to have to dismount these bead locks once again for the 4th time in a year to put on some 37s. I'm going to put my old 37s on. I still haven't had a chance to test out these new Yokohama XMTs off-road. But I understand, you know, every event has maximum tire sizes and everything, just to make it fair. So that's something else I got to do. But the reason I'm doing this video is just to explain to you guys why I haven't put out a video in a while. I've been trying to do it once a week, but it's going on 2 weeks now, just because I am trying to figure out what the heck is up with my transmission. But so I'll explain what I do. I really can't start it up now because I have the slave cylinder off. But you know, you push in the clutch, and the transmission just won't. It's like it's fighting it. The clutch is still spinning. Now, if you hold in the clutch and then push it in gear, you know, like 3 seconds later, it'll stay there. But one thing I did notice is that when it's in 4 low, I have it disconnected now. 4 low, you know, and you do get it in gear eventually, the Jeep will just want to walk back. If you're in reverse, walk forward. If you're in, you know, a forward gear. So that tells me the clutch isn't fully disengaging. You know, and the normal route for troubleshooting this would be hydraulics. I've checked that. You know, a broken clutch spring or a damaged pressure plate. Check both of those. They're good. What else? You know, a pilot bearing that's bad. You know, it's still spinning your input shaft. That was fine. Everything that's on the normal checklist for this has been checked off. So I have no idea. The only thing that could be it is, you know, maybe the center force clutch is bad, which I'm hoping not. But I actually had a Jeep tech that works over at the Jeep dealership come over and help me out one day, the day after I put everything back together, and he was kind of stumped too. He was leaning on the fact that it was the slave cylinder, but after multiple attempts and a lot of bleeding, I do not think it's the slave cylinder. So down the transmission goes, and I might include that in this video. I'm gonna drop the tranny, open it up, and we'll look at all the components in there, and hopefully one of you guys can maybe help me out here, because I'm at the point where I'm stumped and I really don't want to take it into a shop, but I'm about 3 days away from putting it back together and taking it to a shop. So I'm gonna drop this tranny and we'll go from there. So it's only been 1 hour and I managed to drop the tranny in less than an hour, so I'm extremely proud of myself. Pat myself on the back. But no, for those of you that ever do need to drop the transmissions on the JK, it's extremely easy. Hardest part is taking the exhaust off, getting that out of the way, and the drive shafts. So I mean, I just dropped it within 1 hour. I started at like 2:30, and right now it's 3:25. So less than an hour, pretty cool. One thing I'd recommend is definitely I'd take off the transfer case first, because that makes it a lot easier to move this transmission down. And yes, wearing Crocs again. Crocs are the ultimate choice for shoes, by all means. But got everything in here in the belt housing, looks good. Got the new throwout bearing, looking nice and good. Fork looks fine. No signs of fluid in here from the slave cylinder. No leaks, just dusty and stuff. So go look at the clutch. And the first thing I noticed is the weights, the center force weight system. As you can tell, they're all kind of moved to the right. I don't know if that's a big deal. I'm going to talk to center force about this. they might just recenter whenever it starts spinning. But I mean, clearly all the weights are shifted to the bottom right, no big deal. But everything else looks pretty centered. You know, all the pins, the dowel pins, there we go, are still centered. Everything's still tight. I mean, I really haven't even, I put it, last time I was under here 2 days ago, I just put it on, started it up, and it wasn't disengaging, so it's not like I drove it around. But now that I'm in here again, let's look at the fingers. All the fingers on the pressure plate look good, but what I did notice is that it seems like the marks where the throwout bearing was riding is more on the outside of the fingers opposed to the inside. It's kind of hard to see. I mean, I don't know if those fingers have collapsed a little bit, which I'm not sure why they would, but you know, being it's the second time in here, I'm sort of noticing that now. They're standing out to me now. So I'm gonna take pictures, send them to Center Force. I'm also gonna pop this off. That way I can put the pressure plate on a press, put something right here, and then press down on it and actually see, you know, measure the gap. They told me where, but make sure that it's actually opening up and disengaging. So I'm gonna take this off, take the actual clutch disc off inside here, and while I'm in here again, I'll probably go ahead and replace the pilot bearing, but it feels fine, so I highly doubt that's it. But yep, there's the Center Force clutch, dual friction disc, and I'm running their heavy flywheel. It's like a fucking $800 combo, so I'm really hoping that this 1-year-old clutch is not what's giving me issues, but we will see, and we'll get to the bottom of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video. I'm gonna bring a buddy over to have a second opinion on this pressure plate. It's Saturday, so I really can't call Center Force, can't send them any pictures. I might try to hit them up on Instagram, but I highly doubt their social media rep is like a tech. I don't know, could be, but plus he probably doesn't log in on the weekends. I wouldn't. But I'll keep you guys updated if I find anything, you know, if I find out any info on what's wrong. But I really need to push to get this done before the week of August 10th so I can finish all my other prep projects for the 36 Hours of Uwharrie. Speaking of 36 Hours of Uwharrie, I'm gonna try to get like a bunch of footage of the event. It's an awesome event. They've done it for a few years now, but there's really not too much good footage. The Yeti and the Wild YOLO, if you follow them on Instagram, they made like a quick video last year. They did it. Casey Curry did it the year before. It's a pretty cool event, but there's not too much info about the whole event online. So hopefully this year I'll be able to get a lot of cool footage and do an awesome video overview of the 36 Hours of Uwharrie. So, but yeah, I'm stoked. I'm glad that Rugged Radio's, you know, helping me out with the event, letting me run it for them. So I just really need to get this Jeep fixed. Come on, Center Force, help me out. But nah, I don't even know if it's a clutch problem. But I'm excited to get this Barnes aluminum tie rod on, because I keep bending my steel rough stuff one, and I mean, aluminum is the way to go for steering, just because you can hit it and it bends right back. And at 200 bucks, that's definitely a good, an amazing price point compared to some of the other aluminum steerings on the market. But I'll do a video on that later, and I'll do a comparison. You know, I'll bend up my rough stuff steel one and then bend this one, do like a steel versus aluminum comparison. So stay tuned for all that. Oh, got the kids out on the porch. Hello. So it's time to go. I'll get this video out tonight, and then hopefully have another one up soon. Thanks guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.